Hey, Bert Salazar here. Hope you're doing well. Actually, I was at the gym yesterday morning, and normally when I go to the gym, I just want to work out. I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to get my things. I got my AirPods on and so forth. But this time, a friend of mine who I've known for many, many years, he's not a client, and I don't do his taxes. I don't do anything like that. He's a local attorney here in South Florida. Wanted to have a discussion with me regarding taxes. So I said, hey, man, come on. I'm working out, why don't you give me a call on Monday, we'll be able to talk. No, no, come on, Bert, let's have a conversation. We'll work out together. So I said, okay, let's do it. So he wanted to learn a little bit more about Roth IRAs and IRAs. He needs to make some contributions. He doesn't know which way to go. I said, well, are you working with any advisors? He said, no, I'm not working with anyone else. I like to go online and gather my own information and so forth and do my own research. But I do have some questions that I'm hoping that you can answer for me. So I said, go right ahead. So he said, Bert, what do you think? Should I be putting my money based on, the fact that I'm a young attorney, I'm going to be making a lot more money in the future? Do you think it makes sense for me to be putting my money now in a traditional IRA versus a Roth? And, my answer was, well, it really depends. It depends on what's going to be your tax liability in the future. Where do you think that taxes are going to be in the future? And at the end of the day, what are some of the issues and concerns that you have? And he said, well, I just don't understand how, I'm going to be in a higher tax bracket in the future when I retire. So, I had to walk him through the whole thing of understanding that, when you put money into an IRA, you're not saving on taxes. You're also actually postponing the tax. And the same applies if you're putting money in a traditional 401k or a 403b or any pre-tax investments. You're really not saving money on taxes. All you're doing, you're postponing the tax. And when you postpone the tax, you also postpone the tax liability. So if taxes were to go higher in the future, as more than likely they will, then obviously you may end up in a higher tax bracket, or at least at a higher tax liability than you were today. Now, we're also living in the third lowest historical tax rate in the history of our country. And then when you take a look at all the debt, the unfunded liabilities for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare Part D, and then the national debt, which is north of $23 trillion and counting, there is a very high probability that taxes are going to be a lot higher in the future than they are today. So he said, well, then it makes sense for me to put my money in a Roth. I said, well, it also depends. If you feel that you're going to be in a higher tax bracket by the time that you retire, then it makes sense. And by the same token, please bear in mind that chances are that the only way you're going to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement is if you have been a total financial failure in your life. And I told him, and I don't think that's going to be you, because you're someone that, works hard, does very well, you have your own business. So chances are you're going to be doing very well for many, many years to come. I think he's in his early 40s at this point in time, but just got out of law school. I think it was maybe 3 years ago. So again, when you put money into a Roth, the money that you put in is after tax. The money grows tax deferred, and then when you pull the money out, you pull the money out tax free. If you put the money into a traditional IRA, the money that you put in is pre-tax, so you get a deduction for that in the year that you make the contributions. The money grows tax deferred, but then you have to pay taxes on not only the contributions, but also the growth once you start taking distributions every time. So you also need to consider that many of the deductions, credits, and exemptions that we enjoy today, while we're working, while you're working, and that's basically what I told him, you're probably going to lose at some point in time in the future. So if you have a mortgage, and by the time that you retire, your mortgage is paid for. If you're no longer employed, you're no longer making contributions to IRAs and 401ks, so you're not taking a deduction for that. If you were making contributions to a charity, you're probably not doing as much anymore, so you're not taking a deduction for that as well. And most important, while you were working, you probably had children at home that you were taking a deduction and a credit, but you're no longer able to do that. So even if the tax rates were not to go up in the future, which I highly doubt, the probability that you're going to find yourself in a higher tax bracket is going to be much higher, because of the fact that you're going to be losing all of those deductions, exemptions, and credits that you have enjoyed for many, many years. So, we talked about a few other things and so forth, but, it's really interesting how people that go on the internet and they're trying to gather information are ending up with no information at all, because information without education always leads to failure. So providing the education behind the information is something that is very, very critical, not only for this friend of mine that kind of screwed up my workout yesterday, because I go to the gym 5 days a week, but by the same token, we had a good conversation. He said he's going to look me up to see if I can do his taxes and so forth. But I just want to take a few minutes of your time and give you some ideas as to, what to look into when it comes to making a decision between making a contribution to a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. Remember, my goal is to kind of help you and your family change the way that you see things, because when you change the way that you see things, the things that you see change. So again, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks very much and take care. Bye-bye.